over the weekend, there were schools across the Sandeshkhali region that saw booths that were set up by the State Agriculture Ministry, a number of different bodies from the government, and locals could come up to the body and talk about what they said was any allegations of mishandling, land grabbing that's taken place. They could speak to governments about it. So, sir, in one sense, it's very easy to look at this as the TMC taking a proactive step to help the citizens and the locals. But I do want to ask you, sir, can we also look at this as the TMC admitting that something went deeply wrong over the last few years?
With all due respect, and I want to humbly say this, forget what TMC has to say, forget what any political party has to say. What did the apex court of the country said today?
Right. So
there were two PILs.
We'll focus on that, I promise you. Today we're also going to have the BJP join us in a little bit, and I'll take that question to them because I do want to ask them their perspective. But sir, just answer my question, please, first.
No, see, the West Bengal police and the West Bengal administration under Mamata Banerjee does not have any fear or favor towards anybody. Before 6th of February, there was not a single complaint from Sandeshkhali. Apparently, whatever the political parties are saying, there is a huge political overtone to this, that they were being exploited for years. Where were the opposition parties then? As soon as the complaints were filed, Mamata Banerjee, being the Chief Minister and the Home Minister of the country, she did her Raj Dharma. She got 2 elected representatives of TMC arrested. Now, when it has gone to the Supreme Court, what did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court drew a clear line. And the line was drawn based on the nasty politics of the opposition political party, especially BJP, on Sandeshkhali, where Supreme Court has categorically refused to compare Sandeshkhali with Manipur, refused a CBI probe, stayed on the privilege motion brought in by the Lok Sabha committee. So that it is quite evident. But one thing I want to bring your focus and your viewers' focus on something that unfortunately does not make prime time news. The load shedding loser of opposition, or the leader of opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari, his constituency Nandigram. Manrega funds are being stopped by the central government. So we have organized Manrega camps all over West Bengal because the state government is going to pay the Manrega dues. Do you know, in Nandigram, BJP goons attacked that camp, beaten up women black and blue, and an FIR has been filed against these zamindars of the BJP. Now they don't want the state government also to pay the Manrega dues. And this never makes prime time news. This is what BJP is doing. Okay. And on the other hand, they are trying to go to Sandeshkhali and saying that we are protectors of women. Okay. What kind of nonsense is this?
So I do want to say, you're on the show. Please feel free to highlight every story. For example, the story you've just highlighted, by all means highlight it. I'm not at all stopping you. But sir, answer the question I asked you a little earlier. The booths that have been set up, how should we see this? And the reason I'm going back to those booths again and again, sir, is because we played out for our audiences initial bites from the TMC when this controversy, this story first broke. It seemed as if the TMC was at that point minimizing it. Now it seems as if they might be in damage control mode. There seems to be, sir, a shift in how the TMC is approaching this.
No, there is no damage control. We are responsible to our voters. We are the ruling party in the state. So what are the allegations? There has been only one allegation of sexual assault. That person is already behind bars. What are the other allegations? Other allegations are lands have been grabbed and certain portions of land has been taken, for which they were taken at the premise that we will give you, monthly remuneration, and those remunerations were not given. Now, these two people who are elected representatives of TMC from this area is behind bars. So what TMC is doing, we have set up camps and said, whatever your allegations are, come and give us the allegation. If needs be, the party will give you your money back, your rightful dues. That is the job of the party ruling the state. That is the job of the chief minister who is doing her Raj Dharma. Unlike, and again I want to mention the name of one Mr. Shomik Bhattacharya, and Saira ji is here. She will corroborate with me. He contested Vidhan Sabha elections on a BJP ticket. There is a woman called Ananya Chatterjee who was molested and raped by this gentleman, and who did door-to-door campaign, and he lost the election because of that. Now what BJP did, who are apparently the front runners of women justice, gave him a Rajya Sabha ticket from Bengal. Can you imagine?
You brought this, sir, you brought this up, right? You brought this up. We've actually had this conversation. We've had Charu Pragya and you join us yesterday also. And you brought this up then. Let me just ask you, sir. You've said right now 2 of the people against who the most serious allegations were made are in custody. Let me just tell our audience's background context there. You're right. Shibu Hazra, Uttam Sadar in custody. But sir, you know the question I'm going to ask you next.
Sheikh Shahjahan.
Exactly.
Sheikh Shahjahan.
Exactly.
I'll give you a straightforward answer on your channel for all the viewers. Trinamool Congress or the West Bengal Police and Administration have nothing for Sheikh Shahjahan. He is absconding like many big shots of this country who are absconding under the nose of the BJP government. Now, I am saying this on record. The leader of opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari, has multiple times said on record that I have the location of Sheikh Shahjahan. West Bengal Police is looking after him. Sandesh Khali is under the 50-kilometer jurisdiction of BSF. ED and CBI has issued a lookout notice for Sheikh Shahjahan. Why doesn't Shubhendu Adhikari give these locations to ED or the BSF?
Okay, let's take that question. We now have the BJP with us.
Government?
So let's go over to the BJP. Charu Pragya is with us. Ma'am, I'm sure you just heard what Riju Datta had to say. I'll ask you exactly that. So I'll ask you why it is that the BJP Shubhendu Adhikari doesn't share his location. But ma'am, I'll also ask you a more pertinent question, and this is actually something Riju Datta also touched on right now. How do you see everything the Supreme Court had to say today, ma'am, where the Supreme Court refused to say that the CBI should look at this, that an SIT should be looking at this? They said, let the investigation carry on. How does the BJP see this, ma'am?
Good evening, Toya. Whatever is my personal feeling, we need to remember that the Supreme Court is the ultimate authority, and what they decide and what they rule is, of course, the final word. But at the same time, I would have been happier if our Honorable Chief Justice had paid more attention to this issue which is going on in Bengal right now. The Bengal High Court, of course, has taken sumoto cognizance of the matter, and they are going to hear it. Of course, I understand all of that. But I believe that it is easier for the state government to pressurize and influence anything and everything that goes on in West Bengal currently. And the last decade or so has proved that to us time and time again. Even during the post-poll violence, the same thing had happened. The state police, the state high court, none of them were able to help the victims. And eventually it was the Supreme Court which had to step in. I just hope that this is not going to be a case of justice delayed, justice denied. That's my only wish right now, because at the end of the day, there are so many loose ends in this case and they just don't add up. I saw snippets of several more women complaining today. Our NCW chief Rekha Sharma ji was in West Bengal. Those visuals, they are heartbreaking. They give you goosebumps when you listen to those women talking. And I think at a point like this, the West Bengal chief minister, instead of standing up in assembly and raising fingers at the victims, which is literally victim shaming, instead of doing that, she should have been down on the ground and ensuring that justice comes to these women who've been preyed upon by people of her party.
Okay,
for years
ma'am, let me just quickly ask you a follow-up question here. I then want to go over to our two other panelists. Ma'am, the reason I was asking about the Supreme Court judgment and the BJP's reaction to that is because the TMC is, and Riju Datta, correct me if I'm phrasing this wrong, but the TMC is phrasing this as a victory for them, as them not having, plainly it being said that let the TMC, let the West Bengal government be given more time for investigation. Ma'am, you said you don't agree, you do respect this, but you don't agree with it, but I do want more. I do want to know more about what the BJP has to think about this, what the next steps are for the opposition there.
So, it is considered actually fair for everyone to go knocking on the door of the High Court first before moving the Supreme Court. Of course, I understand that. And if the Chief Justice wants to give the benefit of the doubt and he believes that justice can come through the West Bengal High Court, then I am all for it. And I appreciate his enthusiasm and his optimism in this particular case. And I think it's the correct way forward. I am just saying what I said because in the past, it's not happened like that. In the past, and even very recently, 400 notices were sent out because of the Supreme Court, which made a ruling which said that the state police did not act the way it should have acted. That is a fact. In fact, the NCW report also clearly writes the word distressing pattern of negligence. Now, Toya, if a state police and the judicial system in a state is written off as having a distressing pattern of negligence, it is worrisome. And the state needs to take account of that. Mamta Didi is shielding a criminal.